That's true. Naked Palpatine.
Oh, you pick that one. Fresh out of the clone tank, nude Palpatine is my
Well, that's the first thing I think of when you say Dark Empire Palpatine.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, now either by Disney or Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it, Legends. The finale. We're almost at the tail end. We have Star Wars Legacy War by John Ostrander, illustrated by Jan Drisma. The 6-issue finale to the entire Legacy comic issue series, which went 50 issues. Honestly, could have just been 56 or maybe an even 60, but alas. So, this is the end. Can you read this without having read the first 50 issues? I suppose, but you really shouldn't, because this is basically just the conclusion to the arc that for some reason needed to be its own separate line, because there's this whole thing back in the day with Dark Horse where we had, like, Dawn of the Jedi, War, KOTOR, War, and Legacy, War, because they needed to have this 6-issue finale series instead of just having it be at the end of the comic book run. I don't get it. But that's what we had with that. But this is just a conclusion. The one good thing about this only being 6 issues is consistently good art, in my opinion. It's consistently Jan Drisma in all 6 ones. And the plot keeps going through. I would say this would have maybe benefited from, like I said, maybe being even 60 and just being a part of the Legacy comic. Because, you know, at the end of the comic of the Legacy, it's, oh, Cade's still alive. So we have maybe 15 issues where he's just dead, or supposedly dead. And then out of nowhere, he's back. Also, guess what? We have these Sith troopers, which are these clones of Sith or something that are born in a freaking tank, raised up to adulthood, and they're super subservient to Cade, but they're super powerful Sith Lords that have no will of their own, so they're going to be completely obedient, and they just want to help Cade. You know, and maybe they could have used a little bit more fleshing out instead of boom, 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 let's go. But, you know, you got to get to the finale. So I'd say that would probably be my biggest gripe, is that it speeds through things so fast that I feel could have benefited from a few more issues. That being said, Cade comes back. He no longer is shackled and bewildered by the Vong form that's been surrounding his skin this whole time. It's finally gone. Now it's just Ashrod again, you know, but old, in his new Sith outfit, which looks pretty freaking sweet. He takes out Darth Wirelock, that's not a spoiler, you knew that was going to happen. He gets revenge, But before, you know, what was interesting that they don't really dive into is kind of the nuance to Cade's takeover as compared to Palpatine's, where Palpatine was like, no, I am in control of everything and everything will be beholden to me. I mean, that was true for Dark Cade too, but there was a little bit more, I feel of leniency and trying to keep the old still with his rule. That's just kind of glossed over. But with this, he's like, no, I was dead, but I was reborn, and I am better and stronger than ever. And if I can feel that rebirth, then everyone needs to. And that's how we'll find a perfect galaxy under Sith rule. By purging it. Whatever. Kind of cuckoo now. A little bit. Or enlightened, depending on how you take that. But yeah, this is the big one. You know, we also have, on the flip side of that, we have the Emperor, Rowan Fell, going a little cuckoo. Also listening to an obviously manipulative Sith crazy girl saying how I'll totally help you wipe out my people. Here's a device to do so. This toxin, it will kill all the Sith and only the Sith, even though it's going to do the exact opposite. It's going to kill everyone but Sith. However, I do have something that, explain that one to me. Explain that one to me, because that doesn't make a whole lick of sense now, does it? It doesn't really explain itself, does it? It's saying, okay, so this will only target people that aren't Sith. How does it determine that? Is she using Sith alchemy, Sith magic? How does this toxin know to only... Because I was gonna say at first, well, midichlorians, right? Target midichlorians. That's something that the prequel showed us. This was written after the prequel, so you could actually do that. But then you stop and think, wait, no, Jedi have midichlorians too. So does Sith. So that would kill basically any Force user, right? So that doesn't make sense. How does a biological like toxin specifically get only basically everyone else except for Sith? Like how does that work? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I think there's a bit of a flawed thing there, but it's not really in extreme detail explained how that works. But alas, other than that, the Emperor is gonna do it. He's like, no, the Sith have to die. It's the best way to go about it. And the Imperial Knights have to hold up to their name, which is that they are beholden to the Emperor, unless he starts going dark side. And they consider that act an extremely dark side thing. So Draco, despite the fact that he feels he's been unhonorable and not fulfilling his duty, he fulfills it in the most epic way possible by taking out the Emperor. And then the only other important note in terms of like continuity is we now get the starting of the the Galactic Federation Triumvirate, which is basically like the Galactic Alliance or whatever it was called, and the Empire basically forming into one thing, which is kind of like Star Trek now, I guess, where it's like one big giant federation in control of like a bunch of planets and whatnot. So that's the thing moving forward. And then obviously it's not a true ending because Darth Maul's still alive, Darth Talon's still alive. All these Sith are still around, and so they say that they will come back. Now that is sort of ended by the next story, but I really wish it wasn't the end of it all. But that being said, that's it for Legacy 1. Up next, we have Legacy 2, which there's only like 20-something issues, so I'm probably just going to talk about that in full. But I will say this is a fantastic finale. It is really just really to the beat. We get so many little moments. We get Cade forgiving his mother. We get Cade finding his own path. We get stuff with Crate and him, and it's all just so good. It's an epic finale to a wonderful series. Again, going through it this second time, it certainly is not my favorite of the bunch. My number one still has to hold the KOTOR for consistently good quality all the way through, minus that terrible art during the Kurnis Mar arc. But outside of that, beat for beat, always top tier, never failing to be phenomenal. Probably followed by this, and then the Republic comics. But still absolutely phenomenal. Was a great story. Was great to see Ashrod, to have this character, if you've been reading chronological order, that you've been seeing probably for years, just well done. A well done comic. And honestly a really good ending to the story. Though of course, again, Legacy 2 you can consider an end, but I feel like there's still some loose threads there because I believe Darth Talon and Darth Maul are still alive by the end of that comic. So, and then of course, while it may be an ending for this comic book period, what happened after Crucible? How do we even get here? Like, we don't know. And that's one of the sad things about the current state of the EU right now. And as I've always said, I don't think the EU necessarily needs to be continued, though an indefinite continuation would be great. I mean, why not have parallel universes? DC does it all the time. Marvel does it all the time, too. Ultimate Spider-Man versus the main timeline Spider-Man. Those are two different things. People understood that those are two different timelines, but they still enjoy both. But, and I read those Hand of Thrawn 45 fan fictions, and they were fun to read, but like I said, I'm never going to consider them a part of my canon. So there's just some loose threads that really need to be concluded, and the EU doesn't need a continuation necessarily, though that would be nice. It just needs to be concluded. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you at the very end of the finale of our EU reviews second time through. Of course, I'll be doing my podcast series with my friends, where that's more collaborative. But as for me talking your butt off by myself, we're reaching an end of an era where I'm probably never doing this again because I've now done this twice. So the only way we'll be talking about it again is through that podcast, and that's going to only be like twice a month. So it's going to be a much slower pace than what you're used to with me because I'll go through it a lot faster on my own. But it's going to be a journey. It's going to be fun. And thank you all so much for being here. I mean, oh my God, this is second time through this, and it's been a joy as ever. love, and again, what an amazing just like ending. You know, instead of, and I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer. I don't mean to hate on you if you like the sequel movies, but for me, that really, it just really was not what we needed. And I really feel like this, even, you know, even if I didn't get any of the novel stories, this could have been a great trilogy of books, or of a movie that we just never got. But you know, the great thing about it is that it's a visual, though, and it's a lot quicker and easier to get into than um, you know, a novel. So I'm glad that this can at least be a story that people can easily access and maybe enjoy. But that's it. Until next time, guys, may the Force be with you. And I'll see you next time at our grand finale. For now, anyway. Bye-bye.